Good day, wizards, and welcome to today's lesson, An Ancient African Society. Lesson objectives: the Nile River and how it influenced settlements, way of life in ancient Egypt, the tomb of Tutankhamun, and the spread of Egypt's advanced knowledge. Let's begin with how farming started along the Nile River. At first, people collected the seeds of wild grasses that grew along the Nile. They ground them to make flour for a kind of bread. Later, people started planting and growing the grasses that gave the best seeds. In Egypt, people grew wheat and barley. People also started keeping animals such as wild cattle, goats, and sheep for their meat. The animals also produced milk. Some of the first people to become farmers settled along the Nile River about 8,000 years ago. There was plenty of water and crops grew well in the fertile soil. There was also good grazing for their animals. Over hundreds of years, more and more people came to settle in the Nile Valley. Now looking at the importance of the flooding of the Nile. The Nile River begins in Central Africa. When it rained in the Central African mountains, the Nile River carried the water and flooded its banks when it flowed through Egypt. The water brought fertile mud that covered the river valley and made it excellent for farming. The soil along the Nile River stayed rich and good for crops year after year. Settlements along the Nile. When it rained a lot, the Nile flood could destroy farmers' houses. So Egyptians built their houses on higher ground away from the river. These were permanent houses made of clay bricks. These houses were further away from the river. Settlements of clay bricks houses became small towns. There was not enough space for every farmer to have fields right next to the river. Some farmers had to plant their crops in fields further away. The Egyptian farmers had to find ways of getting water to the fields that were far away from the rivers. They dug deep canals from the rivers so that water could reach their fields. This was a system of watering crops by irrigation. The ancient Egyptians invented the shaduf. The shaduf was a way of lifting water out of a canal and pouring it into smaller irrigation channels. The water was lifted with a bucket. The irrigation channels were dug across the farmers' fields.